Hey guys, it's Shan. Thanks so much for joining me. I know I promised you my birth story, so here I am finally. It's been one hell of a ride. I've been learning so much. Had many mental breakdowns, so I'm sorry it took me this long. But yeah, it's honestly flown by, but at the same time, each day feels like it's like 4 days long. So without further ado, if you want to hear my birth story and how it went down, keep watching.
Okay, so we're officially on the way almost to the hospital now. I've been having contractions all night, and now they're finally like 5 minutes apart.
December 30th. I started to feel a lot of pressure down there. Me and Matt have dinner, and then after that, I started feeling some cramping. Nothing huge, just kind of like, a little period cramp. But I didn't think much of it because I had been cramping a few weeks before that and nothing happened, right? So I get ready for bed, literally not thinking I'm going into labor. And then in the middle of the night, I kind of found myself tossing and turning, like moaning and groaning. And then finally, it must have been like 2 in the morning where Matt kind of nudged me and was like, "Are you okay? Because you kind of sound like you're in pain." And I was like, "No, I'm just cramping, like I'm fine. And let me just set the record straight, you guys, because I was very confused as to what contractions were, what they felt like, and what I should be seeing for like the signs, right? Contractions just feel like menstrual cramps, okay? Let's just put that out there, okay? I don't even know why they call them contractions because they literally just feel like really bad period cramps. So I know, like for me in high school, I had cramps really badly. It was like that, but not even as bad. Let me tell you why. When you're having a contraction, you basically have a cramp, like kind of like a Charlie horse cramp feeling for a minute, and then it literally goes away. And you're like, oh, I could go and run a marathon right now, until it comes back and then you're like, okay, and then it goes away. A couple minutes go by and then I'm like, okay, Matt, this is actually getting worse and worse and worse. So I got up to go to the bathroom. I know this is TMI right now, but it is my birth story. This probably was at like 2:30 in the morning when I went to the bathroom, and then the mucus plug came out. Again, I didn't know what a mucus plug, I didn't know what a bloody show was, didn't have that, but I did have the mucus plug come out. You will know, ladies, when your mucus plug comes out because it looks like a mucus snot rocket. Okay, so that's when I freaked out. I was like, Matt, I'm in labor, it's happening. So Matt was like, okay, calm down, you're fine. So right then and there, I called the hotline, the hospital hotline, and I told them what happened. The lady asked me how far apart my contractions were. Again, they're just cramps, okay? And so we timed it. They were probably around 8 to 9 to 10 minutes apart. So she goes, well, you can't come to the hospital now. You have to wait till they're 5 minutes apart, lasting a minute long, and you have them for at least an hour. So then Matt tells me he needs to go to work at 3 o'clock in the morning because he didn't finish the stuff for the next day. And I was like, are you serious? All right, okay, go to work. It's literally down the street, so it's not like he left me, but I was by myself having contractions, watching Dateline till, they got closer and closer together. So he came home probably like an hour later, and my contractions were getting closer and closer. So finally, they were getting pretty bad. I remember my doctor telling me, if you can't talk with in between when you're having a contraction, that's when you know you're in labor. So literally, I'm like, for a minute, and then they go away, and you're like, oh, okay, that's it. But then they started getting closer and closer together. And Matt was like, probably not even in labor, because if you were in labor, you'd be like screaming and crying and hollering over here. But so then I was kind of like, well, am I in labor? I don't know. And so I went and took a shower. I took my time, finished packing my hospital bag, made some snacks to take with us. And then finally my contractions got to be about 6 minutes apart, and they were pretty intense. So I was like, all right, we gotta go. Like, ain't nobody waiting for 5 minutes apart, okay? We're going now. So we left, and I called my sister on the way, because as soon as I started walking to the car, started getting really emotional, because I was like, oh my God, we're literally leaving, and the next time I come to my house, I'm gonna have a baby. And if you guys remember my pregnancy, I found out when I was 5 months pregnant, so I really didn't have that much time to kind of soak everything in. So everything was just happening really fast, and I called my sister on the way, or I FaceTimed her. This was probably like, what was it, 5 in the morning? I expected her to be like, oh my God, like, it's gonna be okay, I love you. No, she was like, girl, you got this, okay? You are a Xena princess warrior, okay? You're gonna put your game face on, and you're gonna go in there, and you're gonna show them what's up. And I was like, who is this right now? Like, she literally was like my hype woman, and my tears, I was like, tears? Wipe away with those tears. You are a Xena princess warrior, girl. And so I kind of had that mentality going in, and seeing my sister, knowing that she was like, all right, girl, you got this. Let's show them what you got. Type of attitude, like, made me feel so much stronger and just brave. Remember, this is during COVID. So we get up there, and they were like, oh no, he can't come in with you. Meaning Matt. You have to go up by yourself, and if they admit you, then he can come and join you. So that's when I kind of got emotional again, because I was like, oh my God, I'm by myself. Like, I was checking in, and I was like, oh my God, like, and you know, these women probably thought I was like some crazy woman. They're like, do you need a wheelchair? And I was like, yes I do. They wheeled me to the first room we were in to take my vitals, and then they checked me to see how dilated I was. And as soon as they checked me, they're like, oh girl, you are 3 centimeters dilated and 80% effaced. You came right on time. And I'm over here thinking, like, really? I hardly even knew if I was in labor. So I was like, oh my God, like, I could have still been waiting at home for those, like, 5 minutes apart or whatever. And mira, man, I'm already 3 centimeters dilated. They admitted me. Matt came up with all our tereques, which I will get there. I will get to that point, because everybody that was telling me to bring a million things to the hospital, wrong. Don't bring anything to the hospital, okay? They give you everything, people. We felt so dumb leaving the hospital with so much crap, I'm telling you. Then they wheel us to the delivery room. And I want to shout out the nurse that gave me the best advice ever, and I should have probably taken it sooner. Get the epidural sooner rather than later. And I go, but I thought I thought the epidural can fade off, or what if I get it too early, and then is it gonna last for my pushing part? She goes, no, actually that's a myth that a lot of people think, that your epidural is gonna wear off. Like, you administer your epidural whenever you feel like it. So if you feel like, oh, you feel the sensation coming back or whatever, you can say, hey, I need more of this stuff, give it to me, and they have to give it to you. Like I said before, my contractions, the cramping wasn't even that bad, so I was kind of holding off, and to be honest, I don't even know why I was holding off, but in my head I was like, this ain't even that bad. I could probably push this baby out without the epidural. But here's why I got the epidural when I did. Remember, I hadn't slept really the night before, since like 9 p.m. when I first started having the cramping, and I was tossing and turning the whole night. When you have the epidural, you don't feel anything. You can actually sleep. And that's what I needed, because I literally had no energy. By this point, it was probably like 10 o'clock in the morning. And so I was like, just give me the epidural just so I could sleep, to have energy to push, okay? So even if you think the pain isn't that bad and you're like, okay, I can handle it, just get the epidural so you can take a rest, so you can close your eyes, relax, because you gotta gain that energy to push, girl. You gotta push for your life. And if you don't have the energy, ¿cómo lo vas a sacar el bebé? Okay? So glad I got the epidural. The epidural took longer to administer than me pushing, okay? And the epidural wasn't even that bad. I am a baby, you guys. I hate shots. I hate giving blood. I hate needles to the core. So they sit you on the side of the bed, And then they get the guy, or your partner, whoever's in the room, they sit on a chair in front of you. You put your legs on top of their knees, so they're facing you, and you have to kind of curl your back and push the bottom part out. And then they kind of prick you. And if you ever had an IV, they prick you and then it goes numb because they put the anesthetic in. So literally you don't even feel it. So if you're scared to get an epidural, it's a breeze. It is a walk in the park, okay? I probably slept for like an hour or two. And this is where it got kind of crazy for me, okay? So if you guys watched my pregnancy video, the first one, I had a doctor who I thought was a complete biatch, okay? She was the one that was like, honey, you're 5 months pregnant, you're 31 years old, it ain't like you're 21 years old. Okay, snap out of it, honey. You're having this baby and it's go time, it's game time, okay? You're gonna have this baby. Literally, when she told me that back, when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, who does this lady think she is? Why is she talking to me like this? Oh. And for my luck, that was a doctor on call that day. She delivered my baby. And I was like, really? It had to be her? Like anyone out of the practice, any one of the doctors could have been there, but no, era esa. But you know what? Everyone was telling me she's the best one. She's so good. She knows what's up before the computer even tells you what's going on. So she was amazing. So I kind of felt like I had something to prove to her. Like, you thought I was a little softy lady. You saw me bawling my eyes out that one day. Well, here I am, and I'm gonna show you who I really am, and we're gonna push this baby out. So I had that fire in me, right? Because I needed to prove myself to her. So she came in and she was like, oh, have we met? Do I know you? I was like, yeah, we have met. You're the one that broke it down to me that we were having this baby when I found out I was 5 months pregnant. She's like, oh, okay. So anyways, they keep checking to see how dilated you are. So basically you dilate 1 centimeter per hour, and I was at 3. So by the time I got to the delivery room, I was already at 6 centimeters dilated. So she was like, I'm gonna come back in about 2 to 3 hours because that's probably when you're gonna be ready to push the baby. So I was like, okay. Literally, I swear to God, she came back 10 minutes later and she was like, you know what? I was just doing my rounds, and you know what? Curiosity kills the cat. I'm gonna check to see how far along you are right now. For some reason, I felt like I needed to come back to that. And I said, oh, well, cats have 9 lives. Like, how does that even make sense? Like, doesn't make sense in the context whatsoever. But she was like, huh, okay. Well, she literally checked me and she was like, oh, honey, are you ready to start pushing? Let's go. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I literally was like, no, stop. You said I had 3 hours. Like, I'm not ready. And she's like, what are you scared about? What are you so worried about? And I'm like, what if I don't love my baby? And Matt literally was like, did you really just say that? And the doctor was like, Shan, you know what? I've heard that a million times. You're not the first person to say that. Don't worry. We're gonna talk about it when the baby comes out, okay? And I'm like, okay. And she goes, the time is now. You're 10 centimeters. This baby gotta come out. And so this is where I kind of freaked out again, because it's not like the movies, you guys. Like, I'm thinking there's gonna be a nice little curtain, a nice little tarp, or whatever that Matt can stand over here. No. It is not like the movies at all. Your hoo-ha is out for the world to see. Your man is gonna see it. And let me just say, they bossed those men around, okay? Because he was over here trying to set up the tripod so we could FaceTime my sister, because she was like, the only thing I asked is you FaceTime me when... No. The doctor was like, Matt, get over here now. And he was like, well, I just need to fit in. No, what are you doing? We don't got time for that. And he was like, and I was just like, leave it. And he like runs over, and the doctor was like, you grab this leg, the nurse is gonna grab this leg, and you're gonna do this. And they literally boss these men around, because they're, honey, like deers in a headlight. And if you don't get bossed around, they're not gonna know what to do. So I had mad respect because it was actually kind of like a show for me to watch Matt be bossed around. So I had a little fun with that. So there you go. I'm on the stirrups, right? And then I'm like, no, I don't want him to see. I don't want him to see. And she goes, what do you mean you don't want him to see? And I'm like, I thought there was gonna be a screen or something. She literally laughed and took like a little like towel or rag and like put it over my hoo-ha, and she was like, does that make you feel better? And I was like, yeah, okay, let's just go. Let's just do this, okay? And then the whole time I was like, Matt, don't look. And he's like, I'm not looking. But he's like holding my leg open, and the nurse has me on this side. And then the doctor explains to me how to push. So I can't even explain it, but I was doing it all wrong. So basically she was like, take a deep breath, and then you're gonna blow out for 10 seconds and push, something like that. But my dumbass was blowing straight into her face, and Matt was like, that's not what she's telling you to do at all, okay? So she was like, and she had to explain it a couple times till I finally got it down. Then I'm over here talking to myself, right? So I'm like, Xena Princess Warrior. And they're like, what are you saying? I'm like, I'm a Xena Princess Warrior. And then Matt's like, her sister told her that in the car. I don't know why she's saying that right now. But I needed to like psych myself out, right? Because I was like, I need to like no crying, because I am such a softie, you guys. Like, I don't like pain. I could barely do pap smears, and there's something coming out of my vagine, and it was freaking me out. So they were saying like, you're doing such a great job. But I thought that they were just kind of like being nice and telling me that I was doing a great job, because you don't feel anything. So I was like, there's nothing coming out, and these people are just being extra nice and telling me that I'm doing a good job when it's not even moving, okay? But I kept pushing as hard as I could, like barreling down and like pushing. Finally, the doctor was like, okay, you're doing amazing, but this is what's happening. So the baby, you're pushing, and the baby's like crowning, but then as soon as you let go, he comes back. So it's taking like 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. I'm like, oh, so the baby's prairie dogging. The entire room busted out laughing, like, what the hell did this girl just say? Like, your baby is prairie dogging? And the doctor was like, oh my God, like, who are you and where are you from? Like, you just really said your baby is prairie dogging while you're in labor. And I was like, girl, I'm from here. I'm from San Francisco, born and raised. And then they're all continuing laughing. And I was like, well, you could also call it turtlenecking. And they were just like, oh my God. Like, the whole room just erupted in laughter. And then the nurse turns to the doctor and she was like, well, she's really funny because she used to be on the radio. And I was like, oh my God. So they used to listen to me on the radio, and now they're like looking down there on my hoo-ha, and oh my God. So I was like, mejor cállate, Shan, mejor cállate. But so she was like, okay, so your baby's prairie dogging. So you gotta push harder. So basically I was like, all right, I got this. So I pushed one more last time. So then she was like, look down, look down, look down. So I looked down, and she pulls the baby out and like faces him towards me and then plops him on my chest. And I'm like, oh my God, my baby, my baby. And literally the doctor was like, do you love your baby? And I was like, I love my baby. And that was like the coolest part ever. So I went from like laughing hysterically, talking about prairie dogging and turtlenecking, and then I'm crying. So the entire room is laughing at me again, because they're like, this crazy lady, how does she have so many like emotions going, like laughing and now crying? Yeah, the baby came out, and I did feel like, oh my God, now like he's here, you know? So then, oh man, it was just such like a cool experience. And all in all, I pushed for, drumroll, 19 minutes. 19 minutes, this baby came flying out. So it really was just a quick labor and delivery, and I ended up having the best time with my doctor, and she was actually a really nice, awesome doctor. She ended up being I found out out she was the head of the whole practice, the head doctor. So I was in like the best hands. And I'm so appreciative to this woman who totally just like told me how it was when I found out I was pregnant, and then it came full circle to delivering my baby and having just like an amazing delivery. And she ended up coming back and said that it was one of the most memorable deliveries she's had because she hasn't laughed that much during and had such a good time during a delivery. So that was pretty cool for her to say. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Our families were outside. We had a room that was facing the street, so they were outside with signs holding it. And then there's a video where Matt like literally presents the baby towards the window to our family, like, ah, Sueña.
Hey, there he is.
Oh yeah, let me talk about how you don't need to bring anything at all, people. They give you everything. Like, they give you the pads, they give you the underwear. You don't need to bring a robe or a pajama or pillows or blankets. They have all of that for you. And you're gonna be in your gown the entire time. Like, I didn't get out of my gown. I didn't even shower. I don't even know why. I just did not feel like showering till 5 minutes before I left. They give you socks. They give you the non-slip socks. And the food is bomb.com. I was at CPMC in San Francisco. Like, the menu was fire. And they, the last day, they give you a celebratory dinner with filet mignon. And it was A1, chef's kiss. And the nurses and all the staff was just amazing. Like, everyone was super duper nice. And if I could have stayed more days just to like kick it with everybody at all the nurses, like, they were so helpful. I wish I could have kept staying there like longer. So now you get to hear what really went down for my birth story. Sorry it did take me a little bit of time, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for following me and continuing to follow my journey with my baby. It really, really means a lot to get all your mommy advice, because I am such a new mom, and it's crazy how much you need to know and learn along the way. So I'm super grateful for all of you guys. Thank you guys for watching my birth story, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Babe, what do you want to tell your son when he watches this someday?
Right now I just hope you're healthy and I love you. And yeah.
Can't wait to meet you. Oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this and this is actually happening.